everyone, welcome back. Laure here, and I'm with Joko after his first victory of the split. Congratulations! Are you happy with this one? It was really unexpected, I feel.
Yeah, obviously we're happy, but like, let's be honest, like this game was pretty boring, like annoying. Like they just have Soraka, we can't kill anyone, they poke us, and obviously I troll really much, and it's fine. Like I guess it's still okay game.
Yeah,
for the first one.
Not an easy one. Talk me through the last minutes of the game and the backdoor, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, first there was a pause, came, and apparently like there was some lag issues with Steelback, and we were like, I was like, this game is over, and then I'm like, okay, we have a wave mid, Azir is coming, Rin, you need to stop them, give your life, give everything, and then we made it, and yeah.
Crazy. And with all this weirdness going on, you picked Talia, apparently it's the most OP jungler of the game right now. Why do you think that's so?
Yeah, it's pretty strong. Like the pressure in early game, it's really good, and the damage, even if I couldn't show it, it's one-shot people. But my Talia was just getting one-shot instead, and yeah, it's quite strong right now.
Yeah, as a player, it must be hard for you to play champs you were not used to play on stage until now. How do you go with it?
Yeah, I mean, Talia is not my type of champion, but it's fine. I need to get used to it at the meta. But actually, I end up liking it, and yeah, it's cool champ. There is also like those champ like Braum, and I need to be the dog and play Braum because this meta is like crazy, but yeah, it's fun.
Well, still, congratulations on this one, but for more action, let's get it back to Shox and the guys at the desk.
Merci beaucoup, Laure et Joko. I love what he said there about the fact that, well, I just gotta play it. That's the meta, and I might not be good at it. I might not really love it now, but it's just something that has to be done, which I love. But I think especially for Talia, it goes that it is such a departure from what you usually do as a jungler that I think it's understandable that the junglers aren't just like super easy and going with it yet.
Yeah, it's sort of crazy. You never really associate Joko with Talia as a champion or any of the other junglers in the league. But him and the rest of Giants looked good taking it to the late game.
Looked good taking it to the late game, and I think that's the key here. Player of the game voted by you guys on Twitter, Betsy, with 74% of the votes.
Close.
I mean...
It was a close vote. I feel like close race for player of the game. Betsy, I love the decision-making right at the end. When everything looks lost, everything's looking dire, he just says, oh, we have a wave, the Nexus is in our eyes, let's just go for it, and he makes the hero play work.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because I'm looking at this during the pause, trying to figure out what the issue is, and I'm like, oh, Betsy, he's running away from the rest of the guys. He probably DC'd. No, he was going for the win.
I think HGK thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. He's actually winning the game. Now, some new picks and then Giants and Comp, which we weren't that excited about when it came out because it was much of the same, right, with the Azir and Betsy, but apparently they just went for comfort and it worked out for them, so great on them.
Right, at the same time, though, you look at H2K's comp and it was very linear about getting a one-shot, and then they didn't have any consistent DPS after that. So in these late-game fights, if Giants were able to not get blown up immediately and stall it out, they were going to come out on top.
Well done by Giants. First win of the split for them, and then our next matchup will go for the first victory of the split for either the Unicorns of Love or Schalke 04. Now, both of these teams are looking for a fantastic start after missing playoffs in spring, and I think what goes for both teams is that everyone was kind of disappointed in what happened,
and
starting with the Unicorns.
They were disappointed for different reasons, because for Schalke, this was a star-studded roster that everyone expected would only get better and better throughout the split and would end up making playoffs. Whereas for the Unicorns of Love, this is an organization that had a history of constantly making it to playoffs, and this was the first split that they were unable to do it. While they did come close, unfortunately, they just couldn't find the wins.
Yeah, and it was really this late season surge, I think, that was impressive to me from Unicorns of Love. Funnily enough, the last win of that 5-game streak was against Schalke, so maybe they can try and kick it off again for them in this split.
And I do feel like that late season resurgence came from the fact that Cold and Exile started to work together so much more effectively. They invested resources into their mid laner, they better enabled him, and with the synergy developing between the two, that is where they found consistency, and that's kind of what I'm looking for from this team coming into this split.
Yeah, for me too, I think it was Samix also stepping up. I look at those 5 games they won, and it was trading between Exile and Samix just popping off and totally carrying the games.
And that's what we want to see, as you guys said, consistency from all of those players, and especially from Exile, who has been a controversial figure throughout the last couple of years of the Unicorns of Love. But even notwithstanding that, the Unicorns of Love are a mainstay in the playoffs. It was the first time they didn't make it, so we need to see more from them coming out of summer, and hopefully a victory straight off the bat. but they'll have to do it against Schalke 04. And when we talk about disappointments, well, there's no two ways about it. It was bad in spring, and it didn't come together. And the reason I say that is because the organization themselves also was absolutely not happy with where Schalke ended up outside of the playoffs, especially looking at the project they brought to the spring split.
Right, and what they did coming into the split, they subbed in Amazing as the jungler, and what they said they needed was a leader to speak and make the calls in the heat of the moment, and that's what they think they're going to be getting out of Amazing.
They're going all in on Amazing, and Vedius, you already talked about him in your players to watch. This is a guy that has seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Who else than to reinvigorate that Schalke 04 lineup?
I mean, we've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Struckenschneider, and he is a vocal member. That is something we can always be guaranteed whenever you put him on any kind of roster. The hope is that he brings the level of experience that he has from having 2 split titles under his belt and also having 2 Worlds appearances. And you would imagine that he would just kind of slot into this roster full of talented individuals like Nukeduck, Chachi, Upset. We saw some great performances from him at the end of this split, but whether or not it actually comes together is an entirely different question.
And even though we don't exactly know why Pride is not starting on the roster, it is Amazing, or what the exact reasons were in the thinking of the organization, and it is clear that they needed someone to do something. And then in that regard, Amazing, not the mechanically best player ever, definitely not, but in terms of that leadership, he should be the voice of reason.
Exactly. We want to see Schalke come out of the gate and be decisive. Make calls, follow them, and don't be, running all around the map, not knowing exactly what you want to do. Come in strong with an idea of how you want to play the game.
Now, we do know that their opponents, the Unicorns of Love, Samex was rumored to not be feeling so well, but he has been practicing with the team and he is on stage. And I think that might be a really good sign for the Unicorns of Love, because if they want to go on that run that they had on the end of spring, you want your roster that you'd been starting with throughout that spring split. So with all those factors in mind, who do you see taking the victory here today?
So for me, I believe I voted for Schalke to be able to take this win today.
You believe? This is important business. There we go.
My confidence was being put into Amazing. I feel like that he has a lot of confidence, right? And I feel like that I remember him being on PGL with Gilius and saying, yeah, I think I can see myself as being a top 5 jungler in Europe, and today is the day he's going to prove it. I'm going to put my faith in him once. I'm going to put my faith in him once, and if he lets me down, he will lose my faith forever. So this is the only time, Amazing. You have my confidence now. Let's see if you can hold on to it.
Yeah, and to be fair, when I made my prediction, I thought Neon was actually going to be playing AD carry for the Unicorns, but I still think even with Samex in the roster that it is going to be Schalke favored. I have faith in Amazing. Maybe just this one time, but I have faith in him to come in and lead the team.
Yeah, I feel like we're falling into the trap that we fell into in spring as well.
Oh, no.
The roster is hyped, the players are great, they should win, but you can never count the Unicorns out, and all eyes are on Amazing, I feel, in this matchup. We'll see what Amazing can make happen and bring to the team. And as we head to the casters, let's hear what the players said about their new teammates.
In terms of roster, we only switched our jungler. So instead of Price Story, who is our substitute now, we're gonna have Amazing.
I'm actually not worried about him as an individual player. The experience he brings is just a big plus for us.
He's a veteran, and I think it's really important for our team to have a veteran in the jungle. It is a big step up from the last split, and right now we have more plans in the team and we are way more vocal.
It's pretty cool to be back. Like, I had some insight behind the scenes, but didn't like it as much as sitting behind the keyboard and operating that one. I've become rusty, but I think that doesn't matter given the field of enemies that we have in the LCS.
Good to hear from Amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Vedius is gone, so it is my pleasure to introduce for the first time this split, the moose on the loose, Martin Deficio Lunga. I have to say that
nice title. Remember, every time you say my name during this cast, that title is part of it. Unless it gets too annoying, then you can drop it.
I feel like I will get flamed within 5 minutes of the cast, or I'm just going to call you dude all day.
This intro was so good that no one can flame you for that. That's 100% for sure.
All right, well, I'm going to put my faith in you there, Moose on the Loose, Martin Official Luna. As we get closer to Champion Select, we are just seconds away. You heard from Schalke lineup. They got more confidence. They put in their faith in Amazing. Vedius has put his faith in Amazing only one time.
Which, by the way, means absolutely nothing for Amazing at all. He does not care. However, if you are Schalke Unicorns of Love, you're going to care a lot about the early weeks because you didn't have great starts to the last split. You didn't make playoffs. And if you want to make Worlds, man, you gotta at least get into that top 6 first and probably even top 4 later.
You need to win the split. You need to show up for championship points. You need to find a way into the gauntlet. Those are your options. That's what it's going to take. Championship point route definitely doesn't look like the most likely possibility at this stage, but as we enter picks and bans, Ornn taking off the board, Vladimir and Zoe as well.
Some key picks, I feel like we've seen banned a lot. Tarek being one of them. It blocks the Master Yi Tarek combo that is so good. We've seen Aurelia bans as well, and of course when it was left open, it could get first picked. And Lulu is the one that's been banned every game on red side so far, also because she is this massive flex pick that works super well with a lot of these like bruiser fighter types. She's good in these skirmishes, and she just makes them really hard to kill.
And as well, she has the point-and-click CC for anyone who wants to leap on top of her. Very nice against those bruisers, and additionally the movement speed steroid all packed into that Whimsy, making her a real threat. But the Tarek ban will come out. That champion not going to see the light of day. Aurelia as well, and Schalke taking their time.
Talia's still open in this draft here. We just had a game before this where she was not first picked. They actually gave it away over to the Giants, and then picked a Nocturne against it for Shook. Schalke may be looking towards the same style because it is Camille, another one of the still very high priority picks. She was fantastic during MSI. She's been great during most of the spring split. And of course, the changes to her didn't really do much. Fantastic pick.
Finding her home in the jungle for the most part. Not the strongest clear, but incredibly strong ganks. Unicorns of Love taking their time on this rotation. Looks like they may set themselves up for the second Lucian of the split. See how Samus compares to Steelback on that champion, if it will be an AD carry.
Most likely. I feel like, at least traditionally with the AD carries being used right now, you know, Lucian, Kalista, Kai'Sa, Israel, they tend to go down to the bottom lane when they are locked in. Yasuo coming in early here. Probably then for Exile, seeing as we have the Lucian already, but of course we gotta remember the multiple flex options you do have.
You also have to remember, Exile was a Yasuo one trick before he came into the LCS.
And you have to remember,
he was really bad on it when he played on stage.
It was really bad.
That's
and then
true.
he started playing more like standard mages like Azir and Victor, and that was actually a lot better for him in the Unicorns of Love. Let's see if it is him playing the Yasuo. Braum is locked in, so Schalke can go for the strategy where they try and farm up things like the Camille if they put the Braum in mid lane for Nuke Duck, but we still have to remember these melee supports can still go down to the bottom lane and just protect your AD carry.
I want to see what the option is here. Trundle getting locked in could be good for the team overall. Generally a solid jungle pick. Can be flex to support and has been in the past. And does get locked in.
Oh, Yasuo Trundle, baby. It's MSI all over again.
Hit that pillar. Hit that last
Yeah,
breath.
baby. Fnatic loved this one. You just walk mid lane level 6 as a Trundle, and you literally can't miss the pillar. Like, you are the worst player in the world if you miss pillar. So you always set up a Yasuo ulti, and that's your start of the fight. It makes it really difficult when you have this mid game and you're trying to play all 3 lanes, as most teams tend to do, because Trundle literally just needs to look at you from range, and he sets up the Yasuo engage.
Easy to do. We still don't know. We don't know a ton about the Schalke composition. The potential for them to hide information here from us. It could be a Braum mid, it could be a Braum bot, it could be a Camille jungle, could be a Camille top.
Welcome to the meta, baby.
Ezreal's the only pick I think we're confident in. You mentioned it earlier. When we do see AD carries, more often than not, they do just go into that bot lane role. And Fizz is going to get banned out, interestingly enough, alongside the Rise.
Well. Okay, I like the Rakan ban. I think Rakan is still fantastic as a support, especially with a lot of backline dive, as we see with the Yasuo here from Unicorns. But as we highlighted before here, this is a flex pick meta. And on top of flex pick meta, it is counter pick focused. So red side has actually been the preferred side because it gives you that last pick. Towards the end of the draft, it gives you the last pick in the first phase, and you really want to see where all the enemy flex picks will end up going before you lock in your last champion. Tahm Kench, a defensive option. This does allow Schalke to draft a double range bot lane and just put the Braum mid if they want to, and try and farm up this Camille as much as possible. There's a Kayle ult right there.
We're one Master Yi away from a funneling composition, and it may be funneled into the Camille.
It can be the Camille. It can still, yeah, I think it's the Camille on their side. Now we still have to see if this Kayle is then going towards mid or support in this situation. Because if it is a Camille jungle and a Braum mid lane, it will be Kayle support. That is still double range against the Tahm Kench. And Camille's main, Kayle's main job, press ult on Camille when she flies in and watch her kill people.
Taking their time. Schalke showing us something new here in the EULCS. Unicorns of Love rounding out their composition. With the Aatrox in the top lane, a new meta staple, the Gwynsus, the Titanic Hydra, more than enough to make this champion incredibly powerful. We've seen this matchup once already, and it did not go in the favor of the Cho'Gath. We'll see how Vizicsacsi fares, but on the side of Unicorns of Love, more of a stock standard composition, and Schalke showing us something that we haven't seen yet.
It's gonna be Nukeduck playing Kayle mid. He's been practicing it in solo queue. Fun story, back in the day, late 2013, early 2014, Nukeduck tried to carry NIP into the LCS, but he was stopped by a Kayle in the mid lane that smacked him in the face left and right 2 games in a row. He even tried to pick Riven against it, and it didn't work. Now it's his time to grab that Kayle. He's against a Yasuo, who's not gonna put that much pressure against him, especially if he gets the ulti in when the all-in happens from the side of Unicorns of Love. This is gonna be Nukeduck trying to be on a massive late game carry.
And we have to see how this works out for Schalke. We talked about Amazing being the leader of this team. Now, a lot of emphasis could go onto him depending on how they want to use this Kayle. Can he handle that burden? Can he be the active playmaker this team wants, the leader this team wants? And Unicorns of Love, can they rally against this? Can they punish Schalke and take them down?
Well, this is the thing about a new split and a meta where there is a lot of options, a lot of strategic options for a team. We're going to keep seeing new picks show up. This Kayle here could have gone to multiple lanes if we just based on what Kayle has done in the past. We've seen support, we've seen top. It is Nukeduck grabbing it in the mid lane, so it is not a farm up Amazing. It's actually farm up Nukeduck, but in a more traditional way.
Time to see Lovehurt's crew here. Schalke fans also out in force. Passionate calls from the Unicorns of Love fans. So we head right into game 3.
And right now, Dragus, on the side of Schalke, we have 4 teleports. We even have Spellbook on Vander, even though it was changed coming into this new LCS season. Simply now you can swap, use a summoner spell, and then return back to your old one. It does not give you the summoner spell cooldown reduction. That was kind of the big deal in the past. So it is a lot weaker. We will not see it as often, but Vander has grabbed it for himself. You maybe quickly want to swap over, get an Ignite, get an Exhaust on his side. Exhaust against a Yasuo going into a teamfight can be a big deal.
And hold on, Official. We have a bot lane, a jungler, a top laner, all on the top side of the map. They may be looking for some cheese.
We might get some lane swapping here.
White Knight has backed off. Ward has now been played. Schalke have been spotted out on this level 1 strategy. And if they continue to commit more resources, it's Unicorns of Love who are going to have priority when it comes to responding.
All right, so Schalke early invading top side. Now they can still TP down to the bottom lane, so they don't have to stay here on top side. They will just invade for an early buff, trying to get an advantage over Unicorns of Love's jungler. Obviously, Cold here in his mind is like, great, I can now invade the enemy side, and then I can take his buff. But that requires his bottom lane to get the early push, and they're already down here trying to do that.
Now they've isolated White Knight on the top side of the map. This matchup, not the best for Aatrox from the one game we've seen so far in UOL season.
Takes time. Aatrox needs time.
For sure. Did dominate the Cho'Gath, though, in the mid-game, and now Amazing set up to stop some of the early pressure and the sustain as he's isolated on the top side. Exile, though, getting a quick level 2. Nukeduck definitely overstaying his welcome. Exile backs off, but such a good trade.
Yeah, early level 2 frame. We have to remember what happens here when an enemy team invades above level 1. They kind of cut the map in half. They say, Cold, you're on the bottom side early, our jungler's on top side. That benefits Vizicsacsi. Drakus, you just highlighted how the Aatrox can get pushed under his turret. Chachi knows the enemy jungler is not going to be there. He can go for it. We get the bottom lane from Unicorns. That's the answer. They push early because the enemy team has to TP down, and that allows Cold to then invade the enemy red buff. So they're trading. Both teams reacting properly to what's happening in this early game. Exile, though, the main focus for Unicorns of Love, and he is able to push in early and join his jungler here.
Now going to try to pick up a little bit of farm here, it looks like. He helps clear out the camp. Amazing just completing his top side rotation. The Raptor's still up as Camille really struggles to clear out those multi-target camps. And I like what Schalke have done here, Officio, in the sense that they've given themselves a safe bot lane in response to this level 1 play. They know they're going to make that play. They set themselves up to sit under their tower and farm. Because you can never really stop an Ezreal from sitting safe under a tower, especially when he has that Braum beside him. But now, I want to see what Unicorns of Love do. They've got push priority on the bottom side. It seems like Exile is pretty comfortable in the mid lane. What do they actually do with this?
I mean, for now, they can still wait for level 6 on Exile. No one is expecting him to level 3 kill Nukeduck. at all in his lane. He is also bringing TP, not Ignite, on his side, so a little bit less kill pressure. He simply wants to try and sustain in this laning phase as much as possible and be able to match 4 globals later on in this game here. So we get Amazing staying on the top side as we talked about, just cutting that map in half. Cold wants to get a slice of the top side pie. That's a tiny slice he got there.
The tiniest slice.
To be fair, he is a man who cares a lot about the calories with how...
He's big. He's working on it.
He's doing well.
Trying to lose weight. Now, Amazing.
I was more referring to the fact that he's really ripped.
Oh, in real life. I thought you were referring to the fact that he's playing.
Oh, no, in real life.
Huge.
Yes, no, I was giving him a compliment in real life. But also Trundle, yes, I guess he's pretty ripped too.
We messed that one up. We're not on the same page.
It's week 1, baby.
We're working it out. It's week 1, game 1 for you. Got a couple games under my belt, and we're going to see how it's unfolds. You talked about level 6 being important. I think it's interesting to see this Kayle Yasuo matchup. We're already seeing Kayle start to win out in the push, the AoE, using that fervor to just start to cut through the lane.
And let's talk about the Kayle a little bit against Yasuo here. Nuke Dog, lethal tempo on his side. I think he's going to go Rage Blade as one of his very, very early core items. And again, the more uptime you have in a team fight, the more damage you can just dish out from range. And the wind wall from Exile is really not going to be that useful against Nuke Dog specifically, so makes a lot of sense. And then also, of course, later on, Yasuo all-ins on a target. And there was a smart little tip on Reddit the other day about using Kayle ult. Don't use it like a Trundle ult, where you use it towards the end to stay alive. Use it early. When you see the Yasuo jump in, use the Kayle ult instantly so the target does not drop low and start giving all the bonuses, effects, and whatever to the enemy team. Keep them healthy, they can continue fighting. You don't have to use it at the very last second, so that's what I'm expecting from Nuke Dog. The moment you see Exile engage, he ults.
I want to see in the Lethal Temple working out. The pick solid so far, but we've seen just in this meta in general, anybody who can use a Rage Blade does, and the item still so incredibly powerful. Want to see what Kayle's damage output looks like with something so strong.
Also want to see if we can start the year of Nuke Dog already in week 1 of the Summer Split. We tried in spring. It worked for 2 weeks.
And that one really good LeBlanc versus Zoe game that he played versus G2.
I actually saw the community jump on the year of Nuke Dog hype train. Crashed and burned the next week, but that's not relevant for this story. Let's see if we can kickstart it again for the next split, or if Exile can show up big time. He's looking for a play now.
Get a little bit more. Ultimate is there. Pillar's going to be here. White Knight's here as well. Nuke Duck, though, just going to walk away. Bit of miscoordination there. Not going to cost him anything.
Level 6 is here for Exile, though. Look for that potential pillar from Cold. Ideally, maybe if they can try and fight away from Nuke Duck, that is also an option.
And of course, interesting to see Exile on the Yasuo. We have a quick step for you. Not played it since debut split in summer 2016. So it's been a long time since he joined this league.
That was the game you talked about in Champs League, Drakus, when he came into the LCS and was that one-trick Yasuo. He picked it that one game.
And he died a lot in the side lane. It was a rough start for him.
Before that happened, everyone got excited. They were like, whoa, this is it. Let's see what he can do. New mid laner. Big, great mechanics. Didn't work for him. Once a different game here. He's doing fine here in the early laning phase. Obviously needs to respect the fact that Amazing has been hovering around mid quite a bit. Not expecting this Chachi to randomly show up. Meanwhile, bot lane, Samax here and Totoro controlled the lane since level 1.
And really, when you look at it, the pressure has just been going. Ezreal burning the TP early meant Samax was able to TP back and maintain pressure, denying Upset a lot of that CS. He had to choose between backing for a tier and sitting under that tower indefinitely. Went for the tier, and that means he's pretty behind in terms of XP.
Cold is around top side. See if he can do anything. Chachi still push forward.
There, White Knight. Does have the passive available. The Bloodwell will bring him back to life. Vizicachi could be in trouble. Just enough time to resurrect. Going over. Vizicachi now set to fall. The ultimate is there. Vizicachi gonna get subjugated as the Chomp takes the kill.
Early on, when the map was split, he could just push all the time. Cold will not show up top lane, but that's a couple of minutes away now. Unicorns of Love have just kind of gone back to playing super standard in this game after Cold has been able to get his top side, and he looks for that gank against the Cho'Gath just pushing. We can get the replay of it. The ward is obviously in the river from Vizicachi, which means he doesn't see Trundle early enough. And when you push that far forward, the only way out is if your jungler is around to assist you so Cold can't chase. But Amazing, sadly, for Schalke, too far away. Nuke Dog, yeah, he's smacking Exile around.
Pretty easy at this point with the Stinger. So much attack speed. And the base stats for Kayle pretty strong when it comes to trading back and forth.
Nashers, Rage Blade. I'm feeling it, baby. I
want to see it, man. It's been a long time. I think Caps was the last really memorable Kale performance we had in the EU LCS. It's a fantastic place from individually. And now we're at a point where things are definitely going in the favor of UOL.
Of the EU LCS is what you want to say. It's been a great start.
Just talk for a minute.
It's been a good week one already, Drake, because the ULCS is doing just fine here. Amazing, though. He's the member we are looking at on the side of Schalke. He's the new jungler. Everyone needs to remember he was on the broadcast team last split, and the split before that in summer 2017, he was not doing too well.
He was playing 80 carry with us in flex games.
Yes.
And now he's on the stage again. And we need to see a high-level performance, but already getting the engage immediately. Hextech ultimatum. Nutuck wants to walk into the last branch, blocking the damage, trying to get a little bit more with the win while stopping Nutuck from contributing. Amazing. What can he do before he gets taken down? Exile grabs one. Is he going to look for another one? Knockup not going to connect. But a big fumble from the side of Schalke.
And I feel like we're watching Spring Split again here. Unicorns are off, they're finding early kills, and Cold is involved in all the early ones. He's ganking top lane, he's around mid here, fighting with Exile. Amazing, sure, he stayed healthy for a while due to the KO, but once it was done, he'd already flashed in to start the fight. He was not getting out. Good start from Unicorns of Love. More question marks around Schalke and this new lineup here. Under the turret, they can't really continue chasing, and now they can actually stay for long enough. Windwall comes in as well, and suddenly, while Nutuck can continue to just hit away once Windwall is gone, his jungler is already dead.
And you can see stats for Exile not pretty. We've mentioned them a few times already, but we're going to be telling a different story if this game continues at this pace. As he's doing quite well in the mid lane to stop Schalke from getting any greater advantages. We're just about even on CS. We'll see how it looks as we get closer to 15 minutes.
And while early on we had Unicorns of Love controlling bottom side, Ezreal got back tier plus Sheen. That is the perfect situation for him to sit in. He's actually landing a lot of good poke on the side of Upset. Nutuck is here.
Totoro's in trouble. Immediate flash out, flash forward. Pretty easy for him to keep this going. The vision denying. Vander not going to land the slow. Can they get it? Totoro is still alive, running. Nutuck's going to get it in the end.
That should be bot lane turret as well for Schalke here. Unicorns Aloft, can they go top side? Cross map instantly. Chachi should know this and walk away, and he's on his way. So Unicorns Aloft will get some damage. Can they actually take the turret down and trade? No matter what, they're losing the first turret gold.
Set up on the bottom side, that means they can't get the Rift Herald to follow. If Unicorns of Love can get that objective as well as the tower, they'll come out on top. But for now, it is a Schalke-favored exchange. And I like the confidence coming in from Nutuck. We talked about this team needing someone to step up, make plays, be aggressive. Nutuck flashing forward to secure that kill to set his team up for success.
He was the aggressive member in the early parts of last split. Kind of ended up not being able to do much towards the later stages, but in general, we should see a more aggressive Schalke team with Amazing. That's why they picked him up. They literally said, we need a jungler who's vocal, a jungler who can yell, let's go, let's do something. That's what Amazing brings to the team. It's not that he's mechanically better than someone like Pride Stalker, but Amazing is a veteran. And he has very strong opinions about how to play the game. So we need to see in the first week here, not just the first game, if we actually get a more proactive Schalke. So far, I would say no. It's not been a huge difference. But they have a lot of scaling on their side, so we can't expect them to just stomp the early game.
And the Nashers too, looking good in the inventory of Nutuck, starting to scale up, starting to get closer to some of those item break points. See if he continues to out-trade Exile as we move forward. And just in general, Schalke, unfortunately, after the kill drops, maybe not coming out 100% on top in that exchange, as the Rift Herald does drop in favor of Unicorns of Love. But until that takes a tower, gold not too far apart.
And some big things for Unicorns as well. Titanic Hydra completed for White Knight. In solo queue, whenever you play against an Aatrox and he gets Titanic Hydra and a Rage Blade, you just feel like you can't stop him in the side lane. He deals so much damage also to your turrets. White Knight now, he's gotten past the early laning phase. That was the tough part for him in this game when it comes to the 1v1 against Chachi, so that's a big deal. Exile got his Phantom Dancer now. Will look towards Infinity Edge as a second item when we see these built in. Yes, it is a little bit worse for the Yasuo. It costs a lot more, hard for him to get. But once he gets it, it's still a big spike.
You have to hold that thought, Fischio, as the engage is starting to come in. White Knight
he
trying
doesn't
to
care about him
Chachi.
anymore.
He's not concerned. He has so much sustain just built into that kit. And if Vizichachi can't approach the wave to deny him, he's just going to free hit and sustain right back up. Now, though, things not too aggressive anywhere else on the map. Cold still playing around the mid lane, still ready to counter gank if Amazing tries to go for anything. They spot him out on the rafters. Ping's coming down. They're tracking him pretty well. Bot lane has to be careful here. Cold now running in. If he gets the pillar, maybe Yasuo can follow. Does. Goes for the subjugate. Now also the Tahm Kench is coming in. They're looking to take out Schalke. Isolate them off to the side. Nuke Duck's in the back line, though, doing a lot of damage back. Now Upset looks for the turn. It's Totoro all on his lonesome. Thickskin is going to get popped, but he's stunned up. The Ignite goes down onto Upset. Are they going to be able to grab it? Totoro needs somebody to body block. The Tongue Lash comes out. Upset goes down, but Amazing's instantly there. Sorry, Samek's not going to make it out to that one, but no. The Tahm Kench still alive is going to save the day. The TP is coming in.
Oh, can I get out?
Are they going to be able to make it? Cold flashes to safety.
Man.
Are you kidding me? Totoro lives.
Unicorns of Love, what a great skirmish here. So many members with low HP just dancing around. Upset in the end. He thinks, oh, this Tahm Kench, he's dead, I got him. But the moment he steps forward, so much damage comes down onto him, and Exile picks up the kill 2-0 on the Yasuo here. We said this is the key member in this composition, especially with the Trundle. Let's get the whole thing again. It was a pretty long exchange, starting with an invade. Amazing is on his way from the Raptor camp, but we know Unicorns of Love with the Tahm Kench can instantly go for the fight. It's actually 3v3 at first, which is why they take so much damage on the way out. And here, you get the bait from the Tahm Kench. Upset, he feels it. Gets hit by a Q, by Samix, then the Tahm Kench, and Exile picks up the kill. And look at Samix here, right back over the wall into Tahm Kench.
Flash over, dash back. Amazing can't do anything. Just well played across the board for Unicorns of Love. Definitely playing on the edge of insanity there. Could have lost a lot of members in that.
Oh, they want more, baby.
Exile level 11 to Amazing's level 8. TP out for Upset. Totoro's just going to give him a lick. Let them know what's up on the bottom side of the map. And Unicorns of Love, total control here. They can take the dragon, they can take the tower. It's up to them.
He marked him for early or for later. So yeah.
So figure it out. How do you taste? Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, interesting. I might get some later.
It's a connoisseur, Fischio.
And of course, big to get these TPs out. Again, remember, there is not all these like old spellbooks reducing summoner cooldowns. It's gone. That's not what the new spellbook does for Vander here. So every cooldown you get on a TP is very, very long, and Unicorns of Love, again, can take advantage of it.
And we have to talk about it. Our player to watch for this game was Exile. Polarizing performances. He either goes off or he goes down. But he did show a bit of growth in spring, and he's showing some more growth now. Haven't seen that questionable decision-making you see mentioned at the bottom.
He's the kind of player you love to watch when he's 2-0 on things like a Yasuo, and he can actually be really aggressive, and he can pull it off. Because he wants to always play at the front line. He wants to always try and make the big plays, even when you don't necessarily need it. In a game like this, so here, he's getting shadowed by his jungler. And there is a Tahm Kench ulti from mid lane. So when Exile says, I'm going for this guy, Cold is there, Totoro plus Samux is there, the entire team can suddenly back him up.
And when you talk about Unicorns of Love success, remember they went on that win streak in the middle of the split. It was Exile and Cold working together. It was Totoro on playmakers. It was the Rakan back then. Now it's the mobility of the Tahm Kench.
It was so funny because the start of the split, teams had success ganking Exile, as always. And we were like, well, no one is helping him. Like, he's literally just on his own, getting ganked. It was like, Cold, why don't you try and go mid? We know Exile is mechanically good. He can actually take over games. And Unicorns figured that out. And suddenly, they picked up so many games where it was always gank mid lane. Really, really good reminder of what actually turned around a rough start to a split for Unicorns of Love.
And now looking to start on a better footing, right? Last split was the first split where they didn't make playoffs. Want to stamp their dominance once again on the EU LCS. Good first win against Schalke could be an excellent start. However, they haven't got there yet. Amazing has finished the Warrior Enchant, slowly working towards that Trinity Force. Yes, Schalke are in a deficit, 2K behind, but they're not out of the game.
Oh, we got the Rage Blade on the way from Nuke Duck's side. Meanwhile, over on Samek's side, it is Black Cleaver coming in second. Very standard as well. The Essence Reaver, it feels great. Will probably come in later. Had a good discussion with Shux about why was Lucian suddenly good. Was it the Essence Reaver? Part of it, yes. Not the only reason, definitely.
Also a little bit better at surviving against a lot of the bruisers than, say, a Caitlyn.
Doesn't need to build crit, works well with Blade Rune King, that is a bit cheaper for him. Had some buffs on 8.6, it's a while ago, but they actually buffed some of the AD ratio on his ulti and the base damage on his W. Like, generally he's just been moving his way back and was waiting for the right meta for Lucian, and this is the right meta for him to be used.
And you can see once the big lane bullies like Caitlyn are taken out of the mix, a lot easier for Lucian to be successful. It looks good so far for Samix. You know, we didn't think Samix was going to play today. We were set to expect Neon, but, you know, conquering or overcoming whatever health issues he had to play on stage today for the team's first game.
Yeah, very
impressive.
Looks good. Very impressive he's here, and very important for Unicorns. he did step up towards the end of last split as well. And we know with Unicorns of Love, like Exile and Samak, they're the carries. Cold, while he played a great split, he's not the main carry on this team.
Uh-oh. Nuke, amazing thought that they were ganked, but they're the ones being ganked now. Cold and Exile looking to extend the fight. The ultimate already consumed from the Kayle. The knockup is there. They're going to take it down. Amazing. Next on the menu. Hook shot, wall dive. The option for escape, and is going to use it, but not the best. The flash forward, no hesitation. White Knight is here as well, and there is the Tahm Kench. Amazing going down. Double kill for Cold.
Yeah, they can't win this 2v2 now. They're falling behind. 2 kills on Yasuo. Cold as well is very strong on his Trundle and a level ahead. So when this fight actually happens, you can see how amazing is Maul is just backing away from the get-go, saying, I can't really help you here. I feel like we're both gonna die instantly. And that just means Nuke goes down the moment his ulti's gone.
And Unicorns of Love showing us so much in this first game, Deficio. Playing well as a team, the duo of Cold and Exile together. Amazing cannot catch a break. Every time he ganks, Cold is there.
And I agree that Unicorns of Love are continuing a great trend from last split. However, Schalke, more question marks after this game here. Nuke, you can see here, taking the fight. Amazing is around, but the moment he jumps in, well, we get another fight. Exile here.
Hold that thought. Exile.
Quick fight.
Yeah, sadly, Yasuo can't outplay the point and clicks. Doesn't matter what you win while there, you're still going to get eaten. And that's the first piece of good news for Schalke. And you talk about question marks, amazing.
Look at that smile.
One of those question marks, his trophy case, EU and NALCS title. He's won both, 2 world appearances. He played with Origin, you got to remember that. But he's also been relegated with Mysterious Monkeys.
Yeah, I feel like the top 2 points there, you're like, whoa, okay, that's fantastic, great, so many things you've accomplished. And then the last one gets added in, it's like relegated with Mysterious Monkeys. Not the same as the top 2 here. In the end, though, for Amazing, it's a man who's played for so many years. Back in 2012, it was Acer Amazing running around in solo queue. And he's always known exactly what he wanted to do on his teams. He just needed people who wanted to follow. We need to see if that is going to be the Schalke team here. If he actually fits in with what they need. So far, it's been a tough game for them, especially around Cold and the Exile. They're the ones getting all the kills, all the action on Unicorn side.
And a 4K gold lead for Unicorns is big. We talked about item spikes coming in for Schalke. Completed Moramana, the second tier, starting to stack for Upset. He's feeling good. And the other option coming in now is Nuke does finish the Gwynsu's. Of course, we have to highlight the Infinity Edge changes as Exile has gone for that item. Doubles your crit chance now. Works interestingly with Yasuo. And rather than increasing your critical strike damage, converts some of the crit damage into true damage, meaning that Vizicachi definitely going to be unhappy if he has to go toe-to-toe there.
Yeah, and of course Exile is now on his 100% crit. It's just the fact that IH is so much more expensive that it is a rough second item to go for. It never feels good having to pick up 2 BF swords. And then a chunk of gold on top of that as well.
Unless you back with enough money to buy 2 BF swords.
Then it feels great. Yeah, then you're like, okay, I'm really strong here. Fun fact, with IH and a lot of these crit 80 carries being gone, we've still actually seen a few in this meta. Ashe has been played a few times, not always with the crit build, but has been used over in the LPL. We got a bunch of crit 80 carries as well. So there are teams trying to make it work, and then Yasuo's, of course.
White Knight is here, Bloodwell is up and available, so he will be able to deal a decent amount of damage before he gets reset. Now the Tahm Kench has been interrupted. Important there, White Knight going to try to make it to safety, still healing up a little bit. Does get taken down in the end, however. Excellent pick-off there for Schalke. Can they turn it into anything else?
Nuke tired of having to fight against Exile and Cold, so he decides to change it and say, you know what, I'm going to go pick on someone smaller than me. And that was White Knight in the bottom lane. No threat against the Kayle in 2v1. Nuke 2 kills. Rageblade is already here. This late game Kayle, if he has the time, will destroy front lines.
Absolutely. And you look at the CC on the opposite side, there's a little bit scattered here and there, but it's not an immense amount of hard CC, so Kayle very likely to free hit. Samix, though, needs to be careful. Exile is there with the wind wall to back up his buddy if he needs to. Amazing, they'll focus on clearing out the wave, trying to get that mid priority. 3K advantage still. Schalke looking to change that, though, as they do take down the mid lane tower. Cold is here, though, ready to throw down a bit more.
So the last game we had, Giants versus H2K, very even game, not as many kills, you know, not as much action as we've seen in some of the other games in other regions so far. But this one is kind of the same. But to be fair, it is fairly standard drafts if we look at the current meta case with double 80 carries in the bottom side and 2 supports, standard supports that is. And it has given us a more standard game from what we're used to at MSI and last split, sorry. Baron being started here, a lot tankier, but as you can see, does not deal that much damage because Cold actually doesn't have too many tanks, that's just yet.
has gone for the Zeke's convergence, so we'll buff up one of his allies. Looks like the Yasuo for now, but you're right. Not the best when it comes to pure tank stats.
Yeah, he has a bit, but not I can tank Baron forever.
And that's the downside of the Tiamat, right? But now he clears the jungle faster, gets him more gold faster in the future. And at the end of the day, a blue trinket traded for an attempt on Baron. If Unicorns of Love can continue to pressure out, continue to bait those setups, eventually Schalke will not have vision.
And this is a big thing about the new Baron, and something we're going to see a lot, is teams can actually start Baron more often because you don't drop as low, so you can turn and fight. One of the big problems beforehand was if you were only 21, 22 minutes into a game, if you started a Baron, you would have 1 or 2 members dropping fairly low, so you couldn't just turn and fight. There was a lot more risk involved, and you kind of want to get a few kills first before you went for it. Now you can actually start it, stay fairly healthy, and then turn and force a team fight on the enemy team. If you are ahead, that is. So for Unicorns, if they start it again, look for Cole to just pillar the moment Schalke shows up and Exile flies in, and you have a way to start a fight.
But Exile also has to be careful. The burst damage on the side of Schalke isn't insane, but the sustained damage from Kale is incredible, and if they get late enough, Nuke's going to pop off in these late game fights. 2-item spike, very comfortable. 2-item spike for White Knight as well. Everyone's in a pretty comfortable location, but neither team wanted to pull the button trigger on bigger fights. Sadly for Cold, the Tiamat does proc the Baron there.
Feels bad.
Yeah, take a little bit of damage on the way out. But as you mentioned, the damage much lower, so even though he doesn't have that Warmogs you might have expected him to get in the past, he's still fine.
You might also get longer Baron fights, or Baron dances, like the one we had last game.
True.
Which lasted, what is it, 1,000 years?
1,000 years, yes, it's true.
That was very long. Then Betsy just finished the game.
Well, it was, yeah, a little anticlimactic there in the end, but shout out to Betsy.
Like, pause into, wait a minute, he's in the base.
And honestly, it's just exciting to see how teams adapt to the meta, and that no matter what meta we're in, crazy stuff still happens. Still see those backdoors. H2K Giants games never fail to disappoint, but looking at this Schalke Unicorns Love game, we're really setting up, I feel like, for a big fight, a big explosive moment, because everyone's hitting those item spikes you talked about. We just want to see them come to fruition. We want to see them be used.
Trying in the bottom lane here. CC did not connect though from White Knight. Exile is moving around. Tom Kench.
Away. Ooh. Good use there. White Knight passive is going to get proc. TP is on the way in. Kale looking for a bit of a fight. Exile, can he get a 2-man knockup? That's 1 man still waiting to pull the trigger.
Oh, they got Exile.
Knocked out immediately. Amazing starts to go in. Ooh, good use of the Tom Kench. Power to pull him out to safety, but Totoro is going to go down. Sacrifices himself for the play. Great response from Schalke. Cold on the way in to try to disengage. Amazing with attack sweep. Wants to keep it going.
I think Unicorns of Love here did not expect a stopwatch from Visitachi buying even more time, because they sent so many members down to try and kill him. So Schalke couldn't just rush a Baron, because there would be TPs from Unicorns coming up there. We got more fights.
Well, Exile now trying to back out the silence. He's going to stop him from doing anything here. He needs to get out of this situation, but he is going to get taken out. Beautiful pick off from Schalke. They're now set up to take the Baron.
Man, it all started with them going bot lane to try and kill Chachi, but stopwatch into a Kale TP and then a Kale ulti meant that this Cho'Gath just did not die. And Schalke suddenly turn it around, pick up multiple kills on the way out. They can go towards Baron. Let's see here, Totoro is back alive, but it looks like Unicorns of Love are just going to give it up. They know there's nothing they can do to steal it against the Cho'Gath. Can get an Ocean Drake, maybe steal a buff, and that's about it. He might actually try and go for bot lane turret on the side of Samux.
First Baron of the game, dropping for Schalke. Exactly they wanted to come back into this one, the 1,500
just
gold.
Take the Drake.
Putting them in the lead.
Didn't want the Drake, for now at least. So, I don't think they expect a stopwatch here. I think they feel like with so many members, we can kill Chachi fast enough. The TP will not come down in time to save him, but stopwatch, he flashes away, and now Nuke showed up to buy more time with another ulti coming in, and Exile wants to flash in range of his Tom Kench. That is successful, but Tom Kench dies.
Deficio, and I gotta praise Visitachi there. Not only the use of the stopwatch, holds the silence until he sees all 3 or 2 stacks coming in from the Yasuo. Well, the second he thinks that knockup is coming, he goes, yeah, no, scream at you, shut you down. You're not knocking anybody up. You're not hitting my mid laner. You're just going to drop.
This man has been forced to play tanks all of Spring Split. He is now a tank-only player. Chachi's showing us it was all worth it.
Lord of Dog Champs.
He is now the man who used to sit between your turrets trying to tower dive you from level 1. Is now stuck on tanks every game.
And who cares? Because he's the one outplaying the tower dives.
I care a little bit because I kind of want to see old Chachi, but fair enough, that was a good play.
And now White Knight pushing in on the top side, using that split pushing priority. Schalke will want to get something back here, but Unicorns of Love getting an objective of their own despite putting themselves in a tough spot against the Baron. So well played.
Yeah, we talked about much earlier how White Knight, once he got 1-2 items, would just continue to push in that side lane, and you can't really stop him 1v1. Managed to actually trade really well here against a team with Baron Bomb. That's probably the best kind of trade you can hope for after you just lost Baron plus 3 players on the side of Unicorn. Schalke have not broken into that base. Only 28 minutes into it. I was about to say 21-8 minutes. Not sure what that would be, but
Pretty sure with all the times I've slipped up speaking, you at least get one.
that's why I'm pulling myself down to your level, Drake. I'm showing everyone that I'm also mortal.
You're such a good friend.
There you go.
Oh, Schalke continuing the siege, man, but it still feels like they're hesitating. They're looking for some kind of pick-off or something.
Like, would you tower dive this against the Tam Kench? It feels a little risky, doesn't it?
Very true.
Also, look in the bottom lane. Exile, he's on his way to that turret.
Now they're trying. They got the top wave set up. 3 members there. Doesn't look like Unicorns of Love are going to be there in time to stop this one. The Kale and the Ezreal just going to shred through that tower.
But again, it's a team with Baron buff. Currently not getting into the base of Unicorns of Love. They might try here. Kale also towards the turrets. Will very quickly take them down. I assume he's going to get a Lich Bin also later in this game here. But Death Cap already completed for him. There we go. Essence Reaver is completed on the Lucian. As we mentioned much earlier on in the game, you get it a bit later. You don't want to rush it instantly. But effectively, this champion, because he already does so well when he gets to constantly proc his passive with reducing cooldowns on his dash. Like, at now, Essence Reaver, he uses ult. He can cancel it very quickly. And then you have multiple seconds of you just flying around, firing off these abilities, because he's a spell caster. And that's why Essence Reaver is so effective on him. It's not just about him sitting still and auto-attack.
It is huge if it's used well. Of course, it puts a lot of pressure. You have to be such a good player to make that maximum use out of that. But incredibly powerful when used correctly. See how Samix does on that one. And if it's going to be enough to beat out picks like the Kale, shred through the Cho'Gath, or stop the Camille from killing the backline.
Yeah, it's of course important to highlight that this Kale ult doesn't last that long. And it's only on one target from the side of Nukeduck. So whoever he's using that on to save, whoever Exile is jumping, well, on the other side, Samix is probably sitting there, shooting away on a Lucian, and
or the Aatrox is jumping in on one of those threats. So you have 3 very big damage threats on the side of Unicorns of Love, and on top of that, Blade of the Rune King coming in for the Aatrox. So the double hit effect of that Gwynsu's just gets stronger and stronger.
Still find it fantastic that the moment Aatrox has found his way back, since the glory days of Freddy 122 on SK Gaming playing Aatrox top lane, he's finally back and used in every region, and then the rework is coming. This
is the moment where, kind of like Genja just gets credit for every crazy AD carry build there. Like, he was before his time, even though it was like 3 seasons before it was good. Freddy 122, the
Freddy 122 did it, but of course before him, Darien also did it. And I keep forgetting that whenever I think of Freddy's Aatrox, I get reminded that before him we had Darien. They're fighting bottom
again. Now it's White Knight's Aatrox. Gargoyle Stoneplate has been used. Just going to be a flash out, but immediately the pillar into the ulti coming in. The true damage on the IE, making it easy.
See, he was missing a stopwatch this time, and they could actually kill him. Nukeduck, he didn't want a TP. He just wanted to get top in him.
The wind wall did not block the Ezreal, which means Samix back was stopped. Exile just wanted to make sure that his AD carry could back. It means the
this all of them.
Opened up.
It's only White Knight back in base. 4 members. They can push for the turret now.
This is the debate. Amazing has been left on the top side of the map. Nukeduck is now rotating down. What is the play going to be? Are they just going to diffuse this, or are they going to continue to extend this?
There's no other minion waves for Schalke to use yet. They're trying to push in the mid one, but now you can see Unicorns have already backed away. It is a trade, but we have Schalke picking up the top inhib. Unicorns of Love only getting a kill on Chachi and the bot lane turret. But this game, look at the gold here, 1,000 apart. That's nothing at this stage in the game. We have multiple carries sitting on 3 to 4 items now. We're going to get big late game team fights.
I'm ready. Is the 3 seconds of Kale and
You
vulnerability.
better be ready. I can't play team fights.
My theory is if everyone pushes their buttons at the same time, I just stop saying anything and just start screaming. And I think it will match the intensity of the action.
Remember, you have the power. If you start yelling a specific champ name, we will all look at that champion. So you can actually get us to ignore what happens next to this guy.
Braum!
We will only look at Braum then.
He's not in the fight, Braum! He's not in the fight.
There's a lot of pressure on you here, Drakus. Not misdirect us.
All right, Fish, I'll do my best. For now, that doesn't look like a fight. Focus on mid control. Baron 40 seconds away.
Ooh, it's the late game 1-3-1 here against the enemy team pushing up mid lane. Vander gets fairly late, but it gets in there to block Samux from killing the wave. The fact that the wave is still alive means that Schalke will continue to push. Might even look for some Nexus turrets here.
They're just walking in. They may just look to take the base. Nukeduck does a ton of damage. Upset is still protected. The TPs are now coming in. They can break this tower before the TP comes down. They're not going to focus on that fighting. Nukeduck looking for a little bit more. He makes himself vulnerable. He's down. Gets taken down. Schalke, insanely confident call just to run it down the mid lane, but not hesitating whatsoever. White Knight, where are you going to go, buddy? Immediately deleted. A back and forth game. It was in favor of Unicorns of Love, but one decision from Schalke will end it here. Nukeduck cutting this one down. Victory for Schalke.
We won the decisive call from Schalke with Amazing in the lineup. That's exactly how they just won this game. They rushed straight towards the mid lane and said, we don't care about your side lanes, and as long as we have some minions alive, we're going for Nexus turrets. We're not backing off. We're not going back to defend. Unicorns of Love put all their focus here on Samux trying to kill the minions so that Schalke couldn't finish the game in time, but Vander got in there with the shield, and suddenly late game 1-3-1 when the enemy team is already pushing mid, that backfired.
And you see what happens when they come in late. Kale's already done 50% of Lucian's health.
Oh, yeah.
Looks at the Yasuo and says, okay, Windwall, cute, I guess. I'm just going to kill you.
Kale has her stacks. She's like, yeah, there we go.
Oh, you want to fight me with a fully stacked Mage Blade?
And suddenly, you die. Also, your turrets die very quickly. Unicorns of Love and Schalke. That was a close game. Back and forth, good start from Unicorn, shaky start from Schalke, but then they suddenly bounce back. Nukeduck picks up a bunch of kills, and we get some good fights. Big turning point, Chachi with the stopwatch in the bot lane. That bought so much time and multiple kills into a Baron, and suddenly Schalke was ahead in gold.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to individual performances, yes, Nukeduck had a good game. There were good moments from just about everybody on the team, but that single play from Vizichachi, admittedly supported by his team, really turned things against Unicorns of Love, who were set to snowball that game with all those 2-item spikes we talked about.
Yeah, that, and of course, as we just said, fanning out into your side lanes when the mid lane is already pushed against you. We are past the mid game. Your towers will die very quickly. The Nexus turrets not as tanky anymore. That ended up hurting the Unicorns of Love towards the last fight here. In the end, though, we asked for some decisiveness from Schalke, and we did get it. First, the play bot lane into Baron, and then the play for the Nexus.
Well executed, and I think that's the kind of play, that kind of confidence that we wanted to see from Schalke in general, as a lineup. And if it came from Amazing or the rest of the team, doesn't really matter in the end, because Schalke are the team that grabbed the win.
Let's just, for the story's sake, say it was Amazing who made the call.
What can't he do?
He screamed the moment they pushed in mid lane, go for the Nexus, go for the Nexus, and the team followed.
All right, we're going to maybe check the comms at some point and hope that they confirmed Officio's story.
Hey, got to believe the narrative here. He's ego, by the way. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting bigger.
If there's not an @Amazing's ego Twitter yet, I expect there to be one before the end of the split. Well, if you saw a performance that stood out, be sure to go to @LOL Esports on Twitter and vote for the player of the game. We've narrowed it down to Nukeduck, Upset, and Vander. Sorry, Amazing. It's going to be one of those three.
You can't vote for Cole, so you have to
vote for a shot caller.
Yeah, you have to vote for the players.
All right. Well, we'll soon hear from Amazing before Perks and the rest of G2 start the fight to reclaim the trophy against Roccat. See you in 3.5. Uh-oh. Nukeduck and Amazing thought that they were ganked, but they're the ones being ganked now. Cold and Exile looking to extend the fight. The ultimate already consumed from the Kale. The knockup is there. They're going to take it down. Amazing next on the menu. Hook shot, wall dive. The option for escape, and is going to use it, but not the best. The flash forward, no hesitation. White Knight is here as well, and there is the Tom Kench. Amazing going down. Double kill for Cold.
Because there will be TPs from Unicorns coming up there. We got more fights.
Well, Exile now trying to back out the silence. It's going to stop him from doing anything here. He needs to get out of this situation, but he is going to get taken out. Beautiful pick off from Schalke. They're now set up to take the Baron.
Very good job. Nash. Nash! Go Nash.
Insanely confident call just to run it down the mid lane, but not hesitating whatsoever. White Knight, where are you going to go, buddy? Immediately deleted. A back and forth game. It was in favor of Unicorns of Love, but one decision from Schalke will end it here. Nukeduck cutting this one down. Victory for Schalke.